Well, it happened. I've been fired. I'm 65 years old, living in an RV, and I have a small emergency contingency fund. That's about it. What am I going to do? You know, I think I've got a pretty good idea. Well, I can't say that I'm really surprised. They were running out of work for me to do, and they're now firing a lot of staff because of their low season coming up. But I have to tell you how much it hurt to be told that I was fired, let go, or in my case, they actually said, we're moving in a different direction. But it felt like the 6 years of work that I'd given them was for naught. And I'm sure a lot of you can empathize. You probably have felt the same way, whether it's a project that you've worked on long term and given it your all. Could be even a marriage that you gave it your all and for some reason it just didn't make it. You lose your self-esteem, your self-value, and your self-worth. And I was feeling like that, but I suddenly realized that maybe some good can come out of this, and that God has put me in a position now where I can chase that dream that I talked about in my last video. So I am going to be creating quite a few different streams of income. I've already had a couple over the last several years that made a little money, but now I've got to find a way to support myself through my streams of income rather than depend on someone else's paycheck for me. So I'm going to take this opportunity, hopefully, to show you how to create several different streams of income. If you want to travel on the road full-time, part-time, or if you have other dreams you want to chase, but you need some income to do that. And I'm going to not only show you what I've done in the past that's worked and those things that haven't, but I thought I'd take you along as I create new streams of income to show you exactly the different steps that we go through. So I hope you'll stick around to watch that. I've got several streams of income that I've built up over this last many years, actually, as a photographer specifically. And I thought I'd show you some of the things that I've been doing. Put my glasses on, brought my notes. I hope you don't mind because I've got a lot of things. I didn't want to leave anything out to give you different ideas that you might be able to do for yourself to make a living. For me, my biggest stream of income is basically with my photography. I do stock photography, and I have my photos, about 4,500 of them, listed with 5 different stock photography agencies like Getty and iStock, Adobe Stock. There's Dreamstime. There's so many different stock photography companies online that if you are a good photographer, you might want to look at that route because they produce residual income. Right now, I've been doing that since 2007, so 19 years of residual income. And if I continue to keep uploading, then it jumps me up in the search engines and people find more and I make more sales that way. So that might be something that you might want to think about. Another thing that I do is I have a couple of different Etsy stores. I figured since I was already doing photography and making images, especially travel images and landscape images, I opened my own Etsy store several years ago, and I sell canvases and prints, and I'm looking at expanding into metal prints as well through my Etsy store. What makes that really nice is I don't have to carry inventory with me. I was doing arts and crafts fairs and things like that, but I don't have to carry inventory with me when I'm traveling in a van. I can call my different labs that I use. I tested them when I set this all up and had them send me samples to make sure that the quality was good. And then when someone orders through my Etsy store for the photography, which by the way is called Photo Tripping America, I can just order from my labs and they drop ship it directly to my customers. And I've been doing that for several years. I also have an Etsy store for my jewelry, which is called Gemstone Jewelry. And on Etsy, it's rock and roll gemstone jewelry. But I started that this last year and am building that up because I was selling quite a bit of that at different arts and crafts fairs, but I want to be able to travel now. And this makes it easier. I do have to carry my inventory with me if someone orders something through my Etsy store, but I can do that in a small, compact fashion, so it's not quite as big and takes up not too much space in my van when I travel with it. But those are the two different types of Etsy stores that I have, and I will always put those underneath my videos in the description if you're interested. And I think we spoke last time and in my last video that I'll be showcasing some of my gemstone jewelry. You will find a lot of the images that I use on these videos are also in my Photo Tripping America Etsy store as well if you're interested in looking at those. Sorry, I have to refer to notes because there's so many things to remember. I also have done things like utilize Facebook Marketplace when I'm in one place at one time. Sully, thanks for adding your 2 cents. I have this last year, I was in Tucson for about 7 months, and I love gardening. I have been gardening for one lady for about 17 years. And I miss that while I'm traveling. So when I'm in one spot for a while and I have a space that I can put some plants in, I find smaller plants to sell then to other people on Facebook Marketplace, and that has done quite well. It doesn't cost you anything to list them, and if you're in one spot, then you can utilize that town's Facebook Marketplace to get people to come pick them up easily. One of the other things I've done is become an affiliate marketer. Did it with Amazon for quite a while, and I'll probably be doing that again. You'll find when I speak about something in particular in these videos, if Amazon has that product in stock and is carrying it, then I will probably list it in the description below of each video, and I would always appreciate it if you'd use my affiliate link for that. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but you might be able to set up an Amazon affiliate store even for yourself on there. I just tend to list the particular products that I have used and tested under each specific video that I've utilized them in. I also am affiliate, and this is kind of interesting. This has come about quickly. I have a credit union that I became a member of about a year and a half ago that was offering a wonderful deal back when interest rates from banks were at 0% on your savings account. They offer a 5% interest rate on savings account. You open up a savings account with them. If you want, you can open up a checking account as well. And they utilize $5 because they're a credit union to hold that and keep your membership there. And everything else you put in, you can earn 5% in your savings account from. Plus, they, because someone else told me about it, when I opened up an account and funded it, that person who told me about this bank or credit union earned $50 for their savings account, and I earned $50 for mine. Now they have upped the rate to $75. So if you're interested in opening up a savings account that earns more than you can find even on the internet at this point in time, utilize my link below this video and you'll get $75 to open it up, and I'll receive $75 for it, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just your money that you're earning interest on that you put in there. But that has turned into a nice affiliate link as well. I think there's also quite a few credit cards now that I see coming through that are offering similar situations where you can earn some money if you refer someone and they open up a credit card and use it to make a certain number of charges, a certain dollar amount in charges, and then you earn some money from that as well. But affiliate links are, there's dozens and dozens, actually hundreds and hundreds of them. You can specifically earn money from different programs that people are selling through the internet. But again, on these affiliate links, I personally want to make sure that the quality of what I'm suggesting for people is high. And so I don't suggest something that I haven't used myself and haven't decided is a great product or great service. I would suggest for you to, if you decide to do something along that line, that you test out the products and services that you are suggesting to others to purchase, just to make sure that your reputation and the quality of work that you're suggesting for them or the service that you're suggesting to them is of high quality. One of the other things that I've done quite a bit, I haven't done it in the last 2 or 3 years, but I, for a while, was writing freelance articles for people in the RV industry because I have been full-time in an RV for about 8.5 years at this point in time. And so initially, I had a friend suggest me to the editor of the it was Camping World .com, their blog, their online blog, and I got a great job from them. At that point in time, they were paying $200 for every 800 word or more article, and I had to provide the pictures as well. So they were either my images that went with the story, or I found microsites that would either sell you images at a cheap cost, or there are a lot of free images that you can get online and use as well. But I did that for a couple of years, and then Camping World, I did that also for Outdoorsy, which is an RV rental agency. They paid, I believe it was $75 per article. But most of those articles would take me about 4 to 8 hours research and writing, and then coming up with the images to go with them. So it was decent money at $200 for the article. You know, if it took me 4 hours, then that was $50 an hour is what I was earning for those times. But there were a lot of them that took a little more than that, close to 8 hours in some of those. But I did that for several years, and I think one summer alone, I earned about $10,000 doing that. So there are ways to do it, but both of those agencies came to the realization that they didn't want to have people on staff that they were paying all the time. And they started farming those jobs out to a clearinghouse. So I went to work for the clearinghouse. Of course, the money then was only $50 per article, but those articles only took me, I didn't have to provide pictures. They only took me at the most 4 hours of research and writing. You do have to jump through a few hoops to prove that you are coherent in the English language and can write well, using proper English and punctuation and things along that line. But I did that for quite a while, and then that company decided to let all but 2 out of, I think there were about 25 of us that were writing that way. 2 out of 25 they kept, the authors. The rest of us they let go. And I really haven't followed along to see what's happened to them since, but my guess is they're probably not in business anymore. But there are different ways you can approach different companies about doing that, and all of my writing jobs actually came from knowing someone who knew an editor that was hiring out for those. So it does help to know someone in that respect, because if you're just applying online, sometimes that doesn't get noticed. But I was so grateful for those jobs and for the person who suggested me to the different editors. That made a big difference when I was first starting on the road. One of the other things that I've done in the past has actually been mystery shopping. That has paid for my groceries. So I've done that for years. And I was fortunate to start this when I was still living in Buena Vista and not traveling. But I was the only person in our small mountain town that was doing mystery shopping. So I got every job that I applied for. And in some respects, they were in a hurry and they'd pay you extra. So, and then I live within an hour's drive of a lot of different small mountain resort type towns, and I could pick up jobs at those grocery stores or those gas stations or whatever they were shopping for, and just make it and keep track of my mileage. So I could utilize my mileage rates also, because I didn't get paid for that for mystery shopping. I could use that on my income taxes and itemized everything. But that is handy because I don't buy a lot of groceries at one time anyway, and I think they required us to purchase $9 of groceries, and they paid us $14 at the very minimum. Sometimes I got paid $30 or $40 a job, depending on if they were in a hurry and really needed something back quickly. But it takes care at least of the cost of your groceries. It's a little bit of a help, and every little bit helps. One of the other things that you could do, I have done as a gift to someone else, but you could utilize it for income for yourself, is write a book and publish it on Amazon Kindle. And then you have, a lot of us feel like we've got a book in us. Might as well find out. And maybe create a book and upload it and sell it digitally. You can also sell physical copies of it as well, and you pay a minimum price to have those copies shipped to you or shipped to wherever you're selling them from. What I did was I created, a gentleman I worked for had already written a book years ago that he had forgotten about, and I got a hold of it one year, trying to look for an interesting Christmas gift to give him. But he had never published it. He had published other books. They were all on agriculture. And this was a fun little Western in the likes of Zane Grey or Louis L'Amour. And he put it aside. It was all handwritten. And I found out about it and asked him if I could read it. And then I typed it up quietly right before Christmas one year and submitted it to Amazon Kindle and the KDP. And they published it, and I gave him a published copy of it for Christmas, and then we sold it at the local bookstore. They even had a book signing for him. But we sold it at the local bookstore in Buena Vista, and it's still for sale on Amazon as well. You might be able to do something like that. Again, you're not going to make a whole lot of money unless the book becomes very popular, but there are many different ways to launch it, to get more eyes on it, and hopefully more sales as well. And you can actually let them know if you want it listed in the Kindle store so that people can download a digital copy, or they can order the hard copy as well. But that might be another option for you. Right here, let me talk about work camping. A lot of people suggest that work camping might be a way to create a stream of income for you. I don't want you to get your hopes up too much. A lot of work camping positions are just a trade of your work for a camping site. Now that might be a camping site, and your work might be working at the campground as a camp host, a front desk worker, maybe in the maintenance department, or keeping their pool up. But I have also worked as a waitress in Alaska. It was a wonderful job. It was a hard job, but it was wonderful. And I've worked as a front desk supervisor. I have worked as a museum display designer in California. And every Friday, Sally and I would go to the beach in Santa Barbara. So I always pick my work camping positions. I apply for them based on where they're located and if it's a place that I want to be able to explore, at least on my days off. So that might be something to think about. But a lot of work camping positions might ask you to work 24 hours in lieu of your campsite. And then if you work over those 24 hours, they may pay you an hourly wage. Some just look for volunteers. A lot of your national forest campgrounds are looking for volunteers that will be camp hosts. And you'll be expected to be at that campground for quite a while, as far as in a day-to-day basis, to be able to check people in, check people out, and make sure that everything is running smoothly. But there are positions to be had, so you might think about that. I wouldn't look at it necessarily as an income stream, though. Some of the other income streams, let's talk about seasonal. There are a lot of places, let's say that you like to go skiing. If you like to ski like I do, you might look for seasonal jobs at ski resorts, because they're always looking to hire more people during their high season. In Tucson, our high season is winter. So they're always hiring people for maybe October through April, if you can utilize that. Even Tucson has a gem and mineral show that takes place for a couple of weeks at the end of January, the beginning of February. And they're always looking to hire somebody to help set up shows for a couple of weeks. It might be a little extra income. Another thought might be the beet harvest in North Dakota. I think they also in Minnesota and Wisconsin. For 2 weeks, I've been told, now I've not done this, but I have some friends that have done it, and they earn in 2 weeks' time, each person that works it earns about $2,400 to $2,500. So it might be an opportunity. Now it's really hard work. The weather is normally not very cooperative. And I've been told that you should just buy some old clothes to wear to work, because you will never get the mud and the dirt and everything out of the clothes you wear at these jobs. But the money might be worth it to you. That might be an option, to spend 2 weeks in North Dakota and helping them harvest. You're not out there picking in the fields. You're basically overseeing the beets loaded into the warehouse and that sort of thing. But it might be an option for you. Another seasonal job might be ski instructor. That could be winter snow skiing, summer skiing, water skiing. I have a friend that is a tour guide for fly fishing. He knows all of the mountain lakes around here, and he takes people out on fly fishing tours, and he and his dog. But if you're an expert fly fisherman or fly fisherwoman, that might be an option for you, and you might just love every minute of it. Tips are normally pretty good. You might look for music festivals that are looking to hire. I have friends that have worked the balloon festival in Albuquerque several years in a row, and they're always looking for people to help there, and that is normally the first weekend, I believe, in October. You might look at landscaping during the summer for people, or spring maybe. If you're in a certain area, maybe you plan to be there for a month or two, and you might hire yourself out as a landscaper, pulling weeds, who knows, or planting landscapes for people if you're proficient at that. But there are all kinds of seasonal jobs that you can do as either a work camper or just traveling through town. You might look at those sort of options. Another venue would be remote work. Now let's say that you are thinking of going full-time, traveling full-time, and you currently have a job, but maybe it's a job that your employer would be willing to let you work remotely if it lends itself well to that sort of work. But they may allow you to set up time where you can work remotely. You can also get remote jobs while you're on the road. There are lots of people teaching Chinese children how to speak English, and you don't have to have a degree in English to do it. In some respects, I believe you do have to have a college degree, at least a bachelor's degree. But you can teach a lot of things online if you're proficient at teaching. At one point in time, I worked for a company out of Denver where I took phone calls. I did basically customer service as long as you had a good phone line. And that's going to be the stickler when you're traveling full-time, is you have to set aside some time to be pulled over and know that you have a dedicated phone line that will work. You have a good, strong cell coverage. But you can work as a customer service representative. I believe I took phone calls over Mother's Day one year for 1-800-Flowers. You can work for Old Navy. You take customer service complaints, calls, try to help them with their orders and that sort of thing. But those are options as well. Back when I did it, and that was, probably 15, 16, 17 years ago, they were paying $9 an hour. So it's not a lot of money, but you could be your own boss. You can schedule when you want to be able to work. So that, there's a lot of value in that as well. But you might want to look at things like working at a national park. I talked with someone last year when I was at Gettysburg. Thank you, Sully. Thank you. He's upset that somebody might be interrupting our discussion here. At any rate, I talked with someone who was working at Gettysburg, and she got a summer position with them in the information booth at the visitor center. She is not a park ranger. They did pay her. I believe she even had housing. So in some respects, you might find a place where you can stay. They might provide housing. Maybe they would provide RV camping and a site there. But you could get a pretty interesting job working at some of these national parks. I think that would be wonderful. But I know that places like Amazon, their workforce, they are always looking for people to work like 2 or 3 months leading up to Christmas. And they have certain warehouses around the country where they hire workforces. One of them, I believe, was in Kentucky the last time I checked. But there are several of them, and they even provide your campsite. So that's an option. You might even be able to get on, if you're looking at seasonal things like that, you might even get on as the second person in a UPS delivery van during Christmas season. I've known people who've done that as well. So it doesn't have to be a year-round position, but if you're planning on staying in that area for a month or two, it might be well worth, I know they pay pretty well too, it might be worth your attention to look into that. There are a lot of people that guard gates, especially oil sites in Texas specifically, and the pay on that is pretty good. You do have to normally have a 4-season self-contained RV to do that, because they most likely will not have an electrical hookup or water for you, and you'll run off a solar or generator. but the pay is very good from what I understand, and you can sign up for, it depends on the company, but some of them will take, a month's commitment. It might be 2 or 3 months if you wanted to do that as well. Like I said before, I've had work camping jobs where I waitressed. You can do that without it being a work camping. Like if you're going to be in an area where you know that their population really explodes in the summer or really explodes in the winter, and some of the restaurants are looking for extra help, you might be able to do that, and tips are normally pretty good. When I worked in Alaska, I worked with a whole lot of 20-somethings, and it was great fun. I was the oldest waitress there. Kept up with them, okay, but I tell you, it was hard work from 7 a.m. until about 4 or 5 in the afternoon at a little old roadhouse in Glacier View. And then we had 2 days off in a row so that I could go explore the state. And I couldn't get very far because most of my trips would have required an overnight stay. The distance, we were 2 hours outside of Anchorage. And I did get to Homer one weekend. Went to Seward several times because that was a day trip. The sun was up. It didn't start to get even relatively dark until 11 or 12 at night, and then by 2 the sun was back up. So I could make a really long day of it on one day off to go see that, Denali, all kinds of stuff. But I got to explore the part of the state of Alaska, and I'm ready to go back. So that might be well worth looking at. And as I said before, I would always pick my jobs based on where they were, because it had to be a place that interested me because I was doing photography on my off time, and places that I'd want to go and photograph and explore more and meet the people and learn the cultures of those places. So it makes me excited when I think about it. But you can work at theme parks. Dollywood, I believe, I heard recently that they even put up, in some respects, they put up campers at their RV sites for them. But there are several. I know there's a place in Iowa every year that's hiring for a theme park as well. I think what you also need to think about is if you have a certain skill, let's say that you're a pretty good mechanic, you might think about going and attending a little RV tech school, which doesn't take long, and most of it's all online, and you get certified, and becoming an RV tech, because who doesn't need one of those when they're on the road? I know that we have a couple that stayed at the campsite that I was in the RV park that I was at in Tucson, and they were kept continually busy just by the people that were camping around them, much less people from in the city. They could hand out their business cards to people, and because we all have cell phones and our phone numbers don't change, people anywhere you stop can get a hold of you. So that might be an option. Maybe you're a hairdresser. A lot of campgrounds will allow you to put up a notice at their clubhouse, or maybe a little sandwich board outside your RV, offering haircuts, offering pet sitting, pet grooming. I've had people do dog walkers in some campgrounds because people sometimes are staying there for a while and they need to get out and about, and maybe they've got a job and they've got to go to work and they need someone to stop in and walk their pet while they're away for the day. So there are lots of different options. I've known some people that are seamstresses that sell their work while they're traveling. So you might be able to look at the skills that you already have and create a job for yourself out of that while you're traveling. It's extra income, and it might help you greatly. The only other thing I would say is another option for income might be is if you have a house and you've decided you're going to keep it while traveling. You don't want to go ahead and sell it. You want to have it to go back to on occasion. You might think of renting it and paying someone local to manage an Airbnb rental or a long-term rental where you don't have to necessarily have a manager on site, but you have to be available to your renters if there's a problem, so that you would set up your subcontractors, so to speak. If they had a plumbing problem, they'd call you and you'd know who to call locally for them to take care of that problem. But that could be a great income, and I would only suggest that if you're going to do something like that, you might think about where you can have a lock-off room where you can store some of the things that you want to keep in your house, but not necessarily have them accessible, the renters accessible to, so that you protect that. But a lot of people, that's a nice, you kill two birds with one stone. You get to keep your home, but you also get to make an income on it. So that's another option. And the last one would be creating a business of your own. And it could be a business online. And actually, when I'm doing these different streams of income, it becomes a business for me. And I pay taxes. I fill out my Schedule A, Schedule C, all of that good stuff. But you could create a whole business, either where you're currently living before you hit the road. You could create a whole business and then pay someone to manage it while you're gone. As long as they have contact with you and communication with you, someone you trust, that you might be able to do that and earn an income even while you're traveling. I've known people who've done that with several different businesses. You could also create that business and travel with it, like a food truck. Take it to different places. Lots of different opportunities, if you can think about different ways that you can earn an income, have a traveling business, or have a stationary business that you leave in the hands of a trustworthy associate and earn an income on that. One of those might be even storage units. I thought about that a long time ago, just didn't have the money at the time to invest in them, but really when you stop and think about it, they kind of keep paying and you don't have to do a lot of maintenance on them. You might offer some electricity if your units have lights in them, but I use a storage unit right now that has a timer on it, so even if I were to leave the lights on, it'd go off within the hour. And so there's not a lot of money in electricity going out for that. But storage units, people pay consistent rent on that. You don't even have to be in the same town with them while they're paying rent. It's automatically deposited. They just have to have a phone number to talk to you if they need something. But that is another type of business that you could purchase and run while you're not there. There are many of those, but think along that line. This might give you some ideas on some of the different ways that you can earn some income. What I'm going to be doing in these next several weeks and months is creating some other lines of income and streams, and I would like to walk you through the process as I go through them so that we can succeed or make mistakes at the same time together. But I hope that these will be of some help to at least get you thinking about the different opportunities you might have. So I hope that you will also take a look and subscribe to our channel, because one of the streams of income that I'm hoping to build over this process is YouTube. And what I'd like to do is be able to, I've got to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewing. So if you can help me in that, it doesn't cost you any money. It might cost you a little time, or you can tell your friends, send them here if you think that the information that I'm sharing would be of use to them as well. I'd certainly appreciate it. So please subscribe, hit the subscribe button below, and watch for our next video as well. Thanks for watching today. I'm Shelley from Photo Tripping America.